Dear friends, this is my pleasure to welcome you to our webinar devoted to egg donation and embryo adoption. My name is Olga Zaitsev. I'm a fertility specialist and co-founder of Olga Fertility Clinic. Egg donation and embryo adoption are very special topics. You will never speak to them about them with your friends, with your relatives. It is a very vulnerable topic, and we will start this webinar with speech of our very dear patient Linda, who is going to share with you a couple of minutes of her life story to her baby. Linda.
Hello everybody, this is me, and this is my son, little Henry. We tried to get the baby for 10 years. 10 years of IVFs, struggling, tears, seeing sisters and friends getting children. We also lost a couple of children. So this one, he's my 5th pregnancy, but he's my only child and he's my entire world. I was a little bit afraid during this journey about egg donation and how he would feel growing up, how I would feel maybe if he didn't look like me. My heritage, my name, my family is very important to me, very important. But then when he was born and they put him on my chest, he was everything in my entire world. He even looks like my sisters, two childs of my sisters. I have we are 7 small children in this family. This one is the youngest, and then my sister has a child that's only 3 months older than him, and the oldest of my sister's children are 13. I love them so much. And I think that it's great and fantastic to see that even if it's not my genes, he looks like 2 of my sister's siblings. And when you read about epigenetics, you can see that the mother who carries the baby, she triggers which of the donor's heritage that will turn on and turn off. So if there's things that I have that are similar to the donor, I had to make sure during this whole pregnancy that Henry gets it. So there's many things about the way that he looks and about his personality that comes from me. And I have, since he was born, I have had no doubt that he's mine. He's mine, he's everything. I'm so grateful to Olga's team and Alena, the doctor who helped me get this baby, and my coordinator and all of the team who have helped us. I had almost stopped believing and stopped hoping because after 10 years of trying to get the child in Sweden with all the care and hospitals that are here, I thought that if they can't make it happen, maybe no one can. And now he's here. And he's absolutely perfect. I know I'm his mother, so but he's just my entire world. And one thing that I want you to think about is just don't wait. I waited 10 years, and I hope that you all will get your miracles in the future. It's worth everything. I'm so grateful that you listened to me. Hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.
Egg donation is a very special topic, and we are speaking about this topic today. I work with this topic since 2005, when I came back from Germany, where I was trained for IVF, and I was employed by Finnish clinic Ava Peter in St. Petersburg. So I've started seeing patients and started IVF cycles, but also egg donation and embryo adoption cycles. As you know, egg donation is strictly forbidden in Germany, as well as embryo adoption. The first years I was working with these cycles, I was feeling very uneasy. Such deep influence has had this German law on my own mind. So I can imagine how patients may feel, those who live in countries where egg donation and embryo adoption are forbidden. It is not only just a very abnormal, surrealistic way of creating a pregnancy, using someone else's egg to put in my belly to create my baby, but patients coming from countries where egg donation is forbidden suffer also fears. Do I violate laws? Am I doing something forbidden? Can I be punished for this? So let's speak about this topic, which is very special also from social perspective, because we hear patients chat a lot about IVF, but chatting about egg donation with friends or relatives who have never been through this, who have no idea what this is very difficult. Also, if it is your very close relatives who support you with all their heart, they look at you maybe as a special species in a zoo. They can never be in your skin. They can never feel what you feel. Since we work with this topic already for 15 years, we know what our patients feel. And I dare say that sometimes we also feel what you feel. So let's go for this presentation. Please send questions. You have phone number available for your WhatsApp messages. After I am finished with presentation, I will make 5 minutes break so that you get yourself more tea or coffee and have time to send more questions. And after that 5 minutes break, I will sit with your questions as long as you have patience for. Who are our patients? Our patients are not beginner patients. It's not first IVF, not first IUI. Patients who come to us are on very long journey already. This is long marathon, and they come to our doors exhausted, sad, frustrated. And these patients tell us that they have experienced a lot of failures. Failure to get pregnant naturally, as most of humanity does it. They had to go to IVF clinic locally and make very specific, awkward steps trying to create their pregnancies. They couldn't get pregnant with their own eggs, so they have to abandon wish to use own genetics to create own child. So they have to go for egg donation. They have to go abroad, and many have already spent so much money on this treatment so that they experience also financial failure. So looking at these heartbreaking journeys coming in front of our eyes, we came to conclusion that we cannot give these lost years and energy back, but at least we can make sure that result correlates with financial investment. So we have introduced our money-back guarantee packages. I'm sorry, I don't see the next slide. Thank you. So what this guarantee concept means? This concept means that we make sure that our patients don't experience financial failure, and either a baby is born, so result is achieved, or the money is returned. This is what we have introduced already 4 years ago, and our experience and success rates have afforded that we can practice this approach more and more for more couples and single women. Since I work with this method since 2005, my deep belief is that there is no way not to get pregnant and have a baby with egg donation if uterus is in place. Sooner or later, you will have your baby. The main risk is dropping out, losing hope, dropping out. So we have established our process so that we can support you even in the beginning of the process before you start with medical treatment. But what are the guarantee packages? So here you can see them, and you can see them also on our website. We have guarantee package for egg donation, 3 IVF attempts. If there is no baby born within 3 IVF attempts, we return 80% of the money paid, and this is for patients under 49 years of age. This is embryo adoption, 4 package with guarantee of live birth. Should there be no baby born within 4 attempts, 80% refund. And we have combined packages for those patients in their early 40s who feel they haven't accomplished their journey with their own eggs yet. And when we see that we are ready to take a risk to try once or twice with own eggs in optimized protocol so that they can have with egg donation up to 2 IVF attempts with own eggs and up to 2 IVF attempts with donor eggs. And these are patients up to 44th birthday. And with embryo adoption, up to 2 IVF attempts with own eggs and up to 3 embryo adoption attempts, also until 44th birthday. If you would like to get advice which program can be suitable for you, we recommend you to have introductory talk with our coordinator and booking for in-depth consultation with our doctor. You will have to send your journals and fill in medical questionnaire about your situation so that we can analyze your situation and offer a package which would suit you best. And the last but not the least, very important, that when entering such a package, patients don't have to, are not obliged to fulfill the whole package till the end. They can go out of the package after 2 embryo transfers of embryos created with donor eggs and get 80% refund. So there is no binding to finish the package if couples or single women don't want this. So what's about our approach? We have patients coming to us from countries where standardized IVF procedure is very strong, and they come after many IVF attempts or egg donation attempts which are done in the same pattern, in the same method, in the same way. We do not use the same approach to large groups of patients. We have one patient and we look at one patient as at one special case, and actually they are very special cases. After 5 inseminations and 6-10 IVF attempts and 2 unsuccessful egg donations, applying for a guarantee package, yes, all our patients are very special. So where does our personalized approach start? It starts where it hurts most. And interestingly, it doesn't hurt in the belly mostly. It hurts in the heart. So what do we hear from our patients? We hear these questions which are heartbreaking. We hear that women question their capability of carrying pregnancy. They ask what is wrong with my body, with my hormones, with my immune system, with my uterus. And of course they blame themselves so much. They blame themselves for not being able to carry pregnancy, getting pregnant, losing pregnancies. So our patients come to us in very deep grief, and our first and main work is to help them grieve, finish grief, and open to something which may give them hope. When patients question what is wrong with me, what have I done wrong, for the first time in their fertility journey, which is sometimes many years, they hear from us that, look, nothing is wrong with you, so this is maybe the embryo. And they are very much surprised to hear this, because they tend to put all the blame on themselves. But embryos are very small, but very, very powerful. So what do we know about embryos? We know that embryos are 75–80% responsible for the outcome of fertility treatment. They are very, very powerful small creatures. I usually use this slide for all the presentations, and here I use it to show you what difference an embryo makes. Here you see live birth rates with own eggs per embryo transfer depending on the age of the woman and her egg, because this is pink line, own egg IVF. And the blue line is egg donation, also live birth rates. So if we look into the pink line, in the age of 35, 40% live birth rate per transfer, 41, 20% live birth rate per transfer, and in the age of 45 and older, it almost never happens. Okay, it didn't work with own egg. What am I going to do? So maybe I close my fertility journey, but maybe I decide for alternatives such as egg donation. So with all my maternal factors, which I have blamed so that I can't get pregnant, with my body, my hormones, my uterus, all my stress at work, my maybe not adjusted diet, I'm going for egg donation. And I'm getting 50% live birth rate, whatever age I am, and whatever reason I had why I thought I'm not getting pregnant. So can you see how powerful embryos are? There are at least 3 variables in the formula of successful pregnancy. This is the egg, the sperm, and the uterus. If changing one variable, you may increase your success rates dramatically from 2–3% in the age of 45 when trying to use own eggs to at least 50% live birth. And this is with the same uterus, the same hormones, the same immune system, and all the same maternal reasons of implantation failures, of pregnancy losses that you were thinking about. We all know that excellent looks of embryos do not promise, do not guarantee that embryo will go to a happy end. And we know that the older the egg, the higher the incidence of eggs and embryos with abnormal number of chromosomes. This is believed to be the main reason of why this line is going down. The older the egg, the more embryos with abnormal chromosome number, and the less chance of giving birth. This is the table which shows the percentage of normal abnormal embryos for different age groups. So we see that already in the age 42, 43, it's only 1 out of 9 embryos on day 5 is expected to have normal number of chromosomes. So we have to be aware that even if we try to do PGTA, individualized stimulation, and try to biopsy blastocysts and look for normal embryos, it may happen that woman in her age 42, 43, 44 doesn't have these 10 blastocysts to find one normal. Usually she would have maybe 2 or 3 blastocysts, and we will play with good luck. We will be in situation, both the patient and us, when we don't control what cohort of embryos in which IVF cycle in this patient will contain the golden egg. So, of course, we do PGTA to find normal embryos, but if PGTA doesn't find normal embryos, if the chance of finding normal embryos is very low based on the patient's age or patient's history, then we will recommend egg donation as a shortcut to a baby. We know that egg donation is never a method of choice. This is a method of exclusion. No one really planned this method. No one really wanted this, and no one really has information about this. No one is prepared to use this. So usually patients come to us with the question, what should I do next after that many attempts of IVF with my own eggs? And surprisingly, even after 5-10 IVF attempts in patients in their late 30s or early 40s, we can find a way to have pregnancy with own eggs. But if we see that chances of success with own eggs are very low, that the number of potential attempts with own eggs is extremely high so that it becomes unrealistic, we don't want to let's try again and see if it will work, and if it doesn't work, maybe we go for egg donation. When patients come to us, they bring 0.5 kilogram of papers in their PDF sent to us, and we spend hours analyzing them. You have already usually such a heavy luggage that we don't have to try again and see if it will work. You already have so much information that analyzing it, we can either offer you certain guarantee package where we have calculated your chances, or you can try with your own eggs on your own wish and risk if you feel that this is the way you want to proceed and need this to close your attempts. When we have opened up the topic of egg donation, the first questions that our patients have is, have I done enough? Have I exhausted all the modern methods? Have I tried good enough? Have I been good enough? Have I deserved this moral right to go for alternatives, to take this shortcut? Will I not blame myself that I was so weak, that I haven't tried more? And interestingly, this is maternal instinct which already speaks in these women who try these IVF attempts again and again. And this maternal instinct usually comes when woman has a baby. This is when she got pregnant naturally and easily. But when woman makes all these awkward, multiple steps, long years, trying to conceive and have a baby, in her mind, this baby is as real as can be, and her maternal instinct makes her try again and again, so that she thinks that the better IVF process she will do, the more eggs, the more embryos, the better diet, the better mother she will be. I've spoken about this to patients who have all these long journeys, and some of them are also professionals in the field of psychology or medicine, and they were telling me, yeah, absolutely, that's exactly how I felt. I felt I have to do my best IVF process so that I feel I am good. So we know that sometimes women can't stop doing these attempts, and they are always in a hurry. They are always in a rush because clock is ticking. So they don't have time to go a little bit up above all these attempts and look at them from helicopter and see how much they have done. So actually now, when most of clinics have stopped their operative procedures, maybe this is time for you to take a deep breath and then look at your attempts from helicopter, and then to see, oh my God, how much I have done. Was it me? Sometimes you need help, so that someone goes with you on this helicopter and looks in your journal and makes you some analysis and summary of what you have done. And sometimes, after this help is given, you may understand that, oh my God, I'm doing all the same, so I have to do something else. And that's good. But also when analyzing your journals with your own eggs, we can get good information about your implantation situation, so that basically these negative, frustrating informations we can turn in your future success. And as I said, this is exactly now. You just had to stop running. You just had to stop your attempts again and again. So you have this break. Use it for your benefit. Get your data analyzed. And we are ready to do this. So let's say we have had our consultation and we came to conclusion that number of potential attempts with own eggs will be extremely high, and achieving live birth with own eggs is unrealistic. After the analysis we do with you, we have looked at your attempts from helicopter and we have concluded that you have done all you could and there is nothing you could have done better, or maybe you could have done better, but now you are 45 and chances of success are so low that honestly, I don't care how your IVF protocol could have been optimized 5 years ago. We have to deal with the situation the way it is today and now, because after 10 years, we will not be able to deal with your situation when you are 45. So it is not too late yet for certain methods. So there's no need to try to optimize the past. We need to optimize the future. And next questions will be the following. How normal this all will be? If I go for donor egg or donor embryo, will I love the baby? Will the baby love me? How should I tell the child? Will all this be as normal as this could have been if I had used my own egg? You know what? I have 2 children and I have watched them growing. And everything I wanted to explain them, everything I wanted to teach them was so abnormal for them. Just imagine eating with knife and fork. Is it normal for a child? Is it normal to walk? Maybe it is better to crawl. Is it normal to wear all these clothes? But this is normal for parents. And the child takes it from there. Whatever is normal for you will be normal for your child. And you will find a way how to tell your child your story in a good way. When child asks you, you will never do a big story of this. You will just answer your child's questions as soon as they come. But to be able to do this, to be able not to be confused by these questions when they come, you need to normalize your feelings about this method before going for it. Before taking this journey, you need to normalize your feelings on the shore. Then you will have happy pregnancy and happy life after. And I usually tell my patients who are very eager to run and rush and start, but I see that maybe they force themselves to move on. I usually told them, would you please make 2 steps back to make 3 steps forward? Take extra months or 2 to talk to psychologists, to talk to people in the same situation who have children through egg donation. Take time to normalize your feelings about this very special and not normal process of creating a child. So, talking to you today, when many of you are so frustrated that you can't continue your IVF treatment, that you can't continue your egg donation treatment, I would tell you, you are lucky to take some weeks or months to take good care of yourself. Because how do you feel after having lost so many pregnancies or having had so many unsuccessful IVF attempts? Do you feel good? No, you need help, and we recommend you to take this help, which we offer. 3 steps back and then 2 steps forward. Since 2005, I was helping my patients to select an egg donor, and at that time we didn't have this online database that we have created in 2013. We had only basic information for patients such as height, weight, colors, blood group, education, occupation, job, children. And of course, I could see these egg donors because they were coming to my appointments for ultrasound examinations and egg retrievals. And that felt so much responsibility for me to choose an egg donor for a patient. So that already several years after, I have started thinking about the database so that we could offer our patients as much as possible information to select a donor based on your individual personal needs. Your individual personal needs. What I mean, I may have a couple which would say we want as much as possible resemblance so that the egg donor looks as cousin or sister to the wife. Or we may have a couple or single woman who would say, I don't care how she looks and that the color of eyes doesn't match, but most importantly, she loves the same books and she loves the same movies. And if I would have met her ever, she could have been my friend. So who are we to decide which egg donor is best for our patient? We know you even less than we know egg donors. So we have started doing this egg donor database. And we have screened many, many egg donors, and we have asked them to write their motivation letters and to provide their photographs in the age under 12, but also adult photographs. We have asked them to fill in very in-depth questionnaires, and we have done individual interviews with them to see which donors are driven by financial benefit and which donors feel that they would like to do something good for this world. Of course, financial benefit doesn't fall out. Doing something good for this world, you also want to get a little bit thank you. So we have launched this database in 2013, and now our patients can choose an egg donor based on their individual personal needs, their individual human values, and to feel comfortable about their choice. And when making this choice, some patients may feel ashamed, especially in countries where egg donation is not allowed. And we know that this is maternal instinct again, that the patient is driven by, trying to do the best possible for the future child, being selective about own egg donor. A couple of years ago, I was interviewed by Swedish television, and I was criticized for this database, so that this database is for creating a designer baby. But then I have just asked the journalist, okay, if you would plan your own child naturally, would you just go for the very first man, most important healthy, so that you just have to be thankful? Not at all. You would be selective. You would look for Mr. Right with all the necessary attributes of Mr. Right to do the best possible for your child, to get the best possible father for your child and the best genes. So why should you blame these women or couples who are in situation when they need to substitute own egg by donor egg? We believe they can be as selective as their culture tells them, and as selective as their maternal instinct tells them. So if you would wish us to help you with egg donor choice, we are here for you, and we will spend as many hours guiding you through the database, discussing options with you as you need. Many patients feel stressed when making donor choice because they think that this is the last time when they control the situation. And sometimes they are surprised to hear that their body, their uterus, will have huge impact on what this embryo will be. Epigenetics is very powerful. This is the science about how genes are expressed, produced. Of course, the embryo will get 50% of genes from an egg donor. But do you know that human library of genes is excessive? We get from parents 10 times more of genetic code than we will use in the whole life. And interestingly, you are creating the program in which these genes are going to be switched on and switched off. This is as if you are standing in front of a large library and you have a lot of shelves and you have different books, and this library is so huge that you don't have enough time of your life to read all of them. So you decide which ones you use and in which order. And this is what your body is doing with developmental program of the embryo. So you control this all your pregnancy, and of course after birth you continue developmental program of your child through psychological, ethical, all other ways, just being a parent. So when choosing an egg donor, please remember that this is not the end of your control over this situation. The donor choice. This is a very practical step in this very surrealistic process. So as I said, please do 3 steps back to make 4 steps forward. What I mean? Sometimes I have patients who have huge difficulties to choose an egg donor. They spend months on the database, hours of dialogues with our team. But in fact, it is not about the donor choice, but about fundamental acceptance of this egg donation concept. If there was no opportunity for the patient to accept this concept on fundamental human level, no egg donor will be good enough. No egg donor database will be large enough. So that's what I tell you. Take several months to normalize your feelings about this method, about this way of creating a child. Then you may choose your egg donor just in one evening, just listening to your maternal instinct and just trying to see one which could have been your friend. Okay, if we speak about these 2-3 steps back, what do we mean? Before going for real egg donor choice and medical treatment preparation, we offer you to let us introduce you into this egg donation concept. And as I said in the beginning, this is the concept which you can't ask your parents about, how was it with you? You cannot discuss it by the cup of coffee with a friend. And it is very difficult to discuss even with those close relatives who support you with all their heart because they are not in your skin. So what do we offer? We call it introductory package. Let's say you have had consultation with me and we have looked with you from helicopter on the whole fertility journey that you have done and submitted journals and information to me. And let's say I was sorry to say that egg donation is the only option which I see for creating viable pregnancy and healthy baby. Okay, what are we doing? Patient may be very sad, maybe grieving. Maybe she has heard about this recommendation already from local doctor and suspected this. But this is so hard to put a big dot in this story. So there will be certain time to grieve over opportunity which was not possible of using own eggs. We have brilliant perinatal psychologists. These are colleagues who focus on psychology of women all around pregnancy, perinatal, around pregnancy, not being able to get pregnant or having difficulties to get pregnant, specific difficult pregnancies, lost pregnancies, problematic children. All feelings of the mother, whether she already has this baby, is in the process, or dreaming of a baby. So we book our patients with our perinatal psychologists for Skype consultations to be able to grieve over not being able to use own eggs and to someday close this process. Then you will open up for the new process, which is egg donation. And this is what you also can do in introductory meeting with our perinatal psychologists, who will tell you at least how usually people experience egg donation, what is known about studies about egg donation and families created through this method, and maybe many questions which you have and you think that you are the only person on earth having these questions, maybe you will see that, oh my God, my questions are normal for the situation that I experience. So that is first step, talking to experienced psychologists who work specifically with this topic. We offer our patients also opportunity to speak to our former patients, those who have children through egg donation and embryo adoption already. And you know what? We have started doing this already some time ago, because I was analyzing my own patients, how they felt when they were deciding for egg donation and how they felt after, when they had their babies. And this is so interesting. Sometimes they don't remember. So when I asked a Danish couple who had already children in the age of 3 or 4, could you please come to my seminar in Copenhagen and tell your story about egg donation? And they said, yeah, of course I come. But what shall I tell about? And I said, what? You don't remember? How was you were having so many anxiety thoughts, so many frustrating thoughts, and that you had difficulties to do this and that? Oh no, I don't. So that's why we ask our very young mothers with small babies to tell their stories and how they felt, as long as they remember. Because later on life goes on. This is the same kindergarten, the same school, and it is not that people remember so much of these concerns and worries that they had when they had to decide. So it's good to speak to someone who is having normal life after this treatment. So we offer these consultations with former patients as well. Of course, our amazing donation team makes consultations on Skype also to guide you through database and to help you with some donor choices, so that you at least see what options we can offer and recommend, and then you can also Google yourself on the database and see which donor you find best. And sometimes patients ask me, is it already binding that I have started my consultation process? Does it oblige me to go for egg donation treatment in your clinic if I have used the service of your psychologist or had a meeting with a former patient? Not at all. We send invoice and contract when we know exactly which egg donor, which timing, and which treatment plan. And this may take months to decide to go for it. But let's say after having had a couple of consultations with psychologists, talk with former patient, a couple of talks about egg donor database, a patient would say, look, I'm not ready yet. I take a break. So we will say thank you for your honesty, because if you would force yourself to go into treatment, this treatment would be not only very hard for you, but this would be also very hard work for us to keep you satisfied and content during the process which you haven't accepted on fundamental level. So we feel it is fair for us as a company and team to invest into this consulting work for you so that you can better understand your feelings and attitude towards this method and go for it only if you feel comfortable with this. Let's speak a little bit about our egg donors. Our egg donors are under the age of 32, and according to Russian law, they can be under 35, but we try to recruit egg donors not older than 32. At the moment, we have more than 600 screened egg donors who have submitted their details into this egg donor database. They have photographs, motivation letters, and some of them can be in stimulation, some of them can be resting after stimulation, but usually we have not less than 180 pre-screened egg donors ready to start anytime. And when choosing an egg donor, it is important to choose, of course, from these 180, and this means this is realistic egg donor choice of an egg donor who is motivated to go into the program soon. So at the moment we are hoping for egg donation cycles in the summer and autumn. So all our egg donors are put on hold. So I presume that you will have more and more options to choose from, and we are able to plan them according to your potential needs and hopes, and then go for it as soon as possible. This is how our egg donor database looks, and our team members will be more than happy to guide you through egg donor database. Just tell us if you wish to have this testing session. And these are very special egg donors. These are egg donors in our team. Our clinic team includes more than 70 team members, and 12 of them are former egg donors. So at some point when I was looking for a new nurse, a new administrator, a new secretary, a new coordinator, I have stopped talking to HR agencies. I have started looking into egg donor database. And this has enlarged my team with absolutely amazing, loyal specialists who are always ready to go extra mile for a patient, because they have been into this philosophy even before they got employed. They felt this calling to help infertile woman or couple to have a baby. So this was calling by heart to become a part of our team. So talking about our egg donation process or embryo adoption process, what steps does it include? The first is consultation with your personal coordinator. These are colleagues who have responded to your emails when you were registering to this webinar or previously. Then you will have Skype consultation with one of our leading doctors. For this consultation, you will need to submit certain data. Then this introductory package, which I told you, if in dialogue with the doctor you come to conclusion that egg donation will be the way, then the doctor will book you for dialogues with psychologist, former patient, and egg donation team. And remember, 3 steps back, 4 steps forward. So take a couple of months to normalize your feelings with the help of our introductory package. It doesn't bind you to anything. It makes you collaborative, activated client for us who is not grieving anymore, at least grieving significantly less and ready to focus on next steps. Then egg donor matching, choosing, this is dialogue with donation team, may take you also several weeks or even several months. Then time for your individual treatment plan. And this treatment plan will be sent to you by email and discussed with you on Skype. So you come to St. Petersburg at some point, and this is only 1 week to 10 days. So you have spent 3 months normalizing your feelings, choosing egg donors, discussing your medical treatment plan, and the whole process in St. Petersburg takes from 7 to 10 days. So that's how it is. Our process has always been remote. 90% of the work has always been done on Skype and email and phone. So in current situation, we didn't have to adjust our process to this corona. So after you have been to St. Petersburg, we continue our dialogue by email, Skype and phone to support you during your pregnancy, and you have direct dialogue with doctor already after the step 1. You have assigned doctor who will be caring specifically about you, being in direct dialogue with you on phone, Skype or email. This is our normal process, 90% remote, and 90% of time is going into this distant communication. So that's what I mean, that Corona doesn't put your egg donation or embryo adoption process on hold, because you need all this time to normalize your feelings about donation, to get your crazy questions answered and to understand they are not crazy, to define criteria for your egg donor choice and to make a good choice which you will feel comfortable with, and to establish clever medical strategy and adjust it to your non-medical situation, because we want to have efficient process for you, but also comfortable process for you. And then at least 7 weeks to prepare for proper embryo transfer, a training cycle and then embryo transfer cycle. So you need this time, don't waste it now. So if you wish to have consultation with one of our leading doctors, please tell us in any way you can, by email or by talking to your coordinator, and coordinator will help you to book for this consultation and to provide the necessary data. Consultation with our doctor will be on Skype and will take 1 hour. Before this consultation, you need to fill in medical questionnaire. You need to do ultrasound examination, and we ask our patients, especially from Scandinavian countries, to film the screen of ultrasound machine during this examination. But of course, if doctor in the UK or Germany is giving you full report with lots of pictures, you don't have to film the screen by your phone. We also understand that in many countries it may be challenging at the moment to go for new ultrasound examination. So then please submit your journals so that we can get all the possible information from there, and contemporary actual ultrasound examination we can keep to do when this is possible to organize in your country. But situation is different in countries, so some patients are going now to do ultrasound examinations, but some can't. So this is what you need to submit before we have consultation. But in current situations, when you may have difficulties even to request journals from clinics which are closed, we want at least number 1 and talk with you to try to understand your situation and to see what data we are waiting for. We have a lot of patients from Sweden, so we still have these colleagues telling us that they are open and working if you need to go for ultrasound examination, AMH test or any other test. So please contact them by their phones. These are our coordinators. These are colleagues who have responded to your emails when you were registering to this webinar. And they will be in direct personal dialogue with you on email, phone and Skype to guide you through this process until you have clear treatment plan, until you have chosen your donor and you go into medical process. So these are very, very important colleagues for you at the moment. Please keep in touch with them. And these are the webinars which I'm going to announce for the next weeks. 15th of April, we speak again about embryonic reasons of pregnancy losses and how we can optimize IVF process to reduce this miscarriage risk, and what can we do to grow competent eggs, viable embryos, and how we screen them with PGT-A. On 22nd of April, we will speak about how we prepare you for optimal embryo transfer, how we are going to address your maternal factors so that the chance of implantation, which depends on your body, is maximal. This is after we have created embryo through donor egg, or we have created embryo with your own egg and tested it with PGT-A. So we focus on VIP embryo first, and then we prepare VIP environment for this embryo. On the 4th of May, I'm going to speak again about today's topic, and maybe I add more slides based on the questions which you are going to send tonight. And the 6th of May, we are going to speak about our egg donor database in more details, and we also will speak about egg donors behind the curtains, who are they, and we will invite our former egg donors to participate in this webinar in the leading role. Thank you very much. I am now making 5 minutes break so that all of you can get more tea or coffee or maybe a glass of wine. And after 5 minutes, I am back to answer your questions, which I'm going to look at now. And the good news, the summer is coming soon. Talk to you in 5 minutes. Hi again, I hope you have got yourself a drink, and now we continue with the questions. My colleagues have pre-selected 16 questions which we think may be interesting for all. If you will feel you want to go to bed or for a walk, some of questions we will also put online in several days with the answers. But those who are keen to listen to answers now, please stay and let's discuss. So first question, epigenetics. How much of an egg donation child is mine? Should the child be told about the egg donation? So I had a little bit insight into epigenetics in this presentation. All the genetic information for the child created with donor egg comes 50% from donor egg and 50% from the sperm. But the library without reading is a useless library. The genes have to be read, and the consequence in which these genes will be read and which will be read and which will be silent, this is influenced by environment. And it is known that only 5% of human genes are working at a certain time. A good example is now. Now you continue listening to my monologue, and if this was a seminar, then I maybe would have heard how your brain is working, how much production in your head is going on when you try to understand all the data that I present. But then, when you would go for dinner, you will have completely different production. Something would be going on in your stomach, and this will be digesting your food. And here, there will be not much going on. You will be relaxing and enjoying your food. So this is how environment influences production of genes in adult human being. But can you imagine a bunch of cells on the 5th day of development of the embryo put in your uterus? So you are the host and you are creating the whole program of development of this embryo. So none of these genes are yours, but you influence them in the same way as you would have influenced the embryo created with your own egg. You also ask if you should tell the child about egg donation. There is no obligation to tell. This depends on your personal attitude, your personal wish. As I said, most importantly, you have done all you can to normalize your feelings about this process and this way of creating a baby, so that when child asks you about how I was created, this feels very normal to tell or not to tell the story. And if you would need help in this, We never say goodbye. We have our lifelong relationships to our patients who come back for siblings or who come back when children are 3, 5 years old and willing consultations with our psychologist about how to tell the child. You don't have to answer all these questions now. Most importantly, you need to create comfortable basis for you to go into this process, to treat yourself good in this process, not to force yourself into this process. And we can help you to arrange this process so that you feel comfortable in it as human being. Now there are more questions coming. Hello Olga, what do you think about the theory about killer cells in the uterus? I'm 32 years old. Me and my wife had 7 inseminations, 3 ICSI, 1 cryotransfer, 1 missed abortion in week 11, and at last 1 bionic, probably biochemical pregnancy with low HCG. So we think that hostile immunity in the mother may result in miscarriage. But as I said, embryo plays at least 70% role in success rates of fertility treatment. So we first have to make sure that we have optimized the embryo. And if with optimized embryo we are having miscarriage, or if we have no implantation, of course we will be able to correct immune system. Since patients who come to us are having already very long story, we try to do everything at the same time. If you listen to my webinar Wednesday next week, I will tell you how we do our IVF process by ensuring one problem at a time. Because patients who come to us, they usually have more than one reason of why they are not pregnant yet or why they keep miscarrying. So to be able to address each factor, we have to split our IVF process in parts so that we can focus first on creating viable embryo and then preparing friendly environment, and then we put this puzzle together. So 15th of April, 18 o'clock, it is a webinar about this, so please join, you will learn more. And 22nd of April, I speak about optimizing maternal reasons of implantation failures and miscarriages. So this would be also very helpful for you. Then I have a question in Russian. I will try to translate. How is donor egg chosen? On which medical indications? How foreign egg influences immune system of the mother? How to minimize this negative influence? On which signs? Which parameters, blood group, etc. Thank you. It is important to understand that immunologic miracle of pregnancy is that this is the only example in human development when a foreign body is accepted in the mother's body. This foreign body is an embryo, and this embryo is immunologically as foreign to the mother, whether it is donor egg or own egg. If you would have pregnancy with your own egg and your partner's sperm or donor sperm, this embryo on its surface has proteins which are foreign for your immune system. And the process how embryo manages to interact with the immune system of the mother to achieve successful implantation and progressing pregnancy, we discussed 22nd of April, 18 o'clock, Central European summertime. So we will have some insights on immunology of implantation there. But in answer to your question, there are no specific immune or health issues in the embryo or in the mother when pregnancy is created with donor egg in comparison to own egg. Is it possible to choose egg donation even if the doctor thinks it is still possible to get pregnant with own eggs? Yes, of course. So this is your wish. You have your own medical or non-medical reason. And our dialogue with patient, this is collaboration. So we tell you what we know, we tell you what we think, you decide and you choose. How many new donors do you get per month if we can't find a donor that feels good? That depends how long time you take to find the donor that you feel good. Because if it takes you so long time to find the donor that you feel good about, then maybe you need to do these 3 steps back to make 4 steps forward. In other words, maybe you have to go back to talks with psychologists to try to understand what blocks you in good egg donor choice, to try to understand is there something in this egg donation concept which makes you concerned or anxious, and then to try to sort it at a new level. But at one moment we have at least 150 egg donors to each patient's choice. So patients get linked to the listing of egg donors which are ready to start whenever convenient for the patient. If this egg donor is chosen by a patient and reserved for the patient, then the next patient is choosing from another 150 donors. We get around 70 new questionnaires from potential egg donors every month, and I would say around 20 go into database, and the others are excluded for different reasons, either social backgrounds or only financial motivation or reduced reserve of ovaries in comparison to what we want to have, or maybe not very nice communication, because we can choose our patients and we can choose our donors. We want to ensure comfortable, successful, honest work in the clinic. So our screening process for potential egg donors is quite serious. Hello, when do you think you will be reopening the clinic? Have you any further news? We will reopen it as soon as we are allowed, and hopefully our patients can travel to us as soon as borders open. But as I said, 90% of work inside normal egg donation process that we have established here is remote. So all the time is taken for all these distant steps, and the time in the clinic is only 1 week to 10 days, and you need to spend at least 3 months to prepare for it. If the donor egg and sperm does not create a good embryo for transfer, then what happens? If you mean donor egg and donor sperm, then we have our embryo adoption program, which means we have already done this IVF cycle with donor egg and donor sperm, and we might have had some frustrated cycles when the egg wasn't in good relationship with the sperm, or vice versa, so that no good embryos were possible. But these embryos are not in your range of choice, because we have our embryo bank, which we create ourselves, and we stimulate the best egg donors and use the best sperm donors to create different donor embryo combinations, so that our patients can choose donor embryos from those available which have top quality of blastocyst classification, and our patients don't take the risk of creating IVF cycle on their own cost with donor egg and donor sperm and ending up in a situation when no good embryos are available. About differences between embryo adoption program and egg and sperm donation program, you can speak to your assigned coordinators. These are these lovely colleagues which have responded to your emails and confirmed your registrations. Yeah, so the next question is similar to this. Is the process the same between egg donation and embryo donation? If you would do egg and sperm donation, you pay for the whole IVF cycle with donor egg and donor sperm, and you take your own risk, whether there will be high quality of embryos coming out of this or not. And this is expensive, and this is a risk for you. If you are doing embryo adoption, you are choosing embryos from our embryo bank, and we have already taken the risk of creating embryos. Maybe some were not good or even didn't happen. So when you choose donor embryos from our bank, you have no risk. You always have top quality blastocyst. About selection of donor eggs and donor embryos, I think you should speak to our egg donation team. When you speak to your personal coordinator, just ask for individual Skype consultation with our egg donation team members, and they will guide you through this process and explain. And this is not binding. Based on the graph Dr. Zaitsev showed, the success rate with donor egg is 55–60%. What are the main reasons for failure in IVF attempt with donor eggs? So actually we have around 2 embryo transfers till live birth when using donor eggs or donor embryos. So on large numbers, it is around 2 transfers to a baby with donor eggs. And the reasons why this may work, we discuss in our webinar on 22nd of April, where we discuss implantation window, when we discuss hormonal, immune, thrombotic reasons of implantation failures, when we discuss anatomic reasons of implantation failures, and of course in this lecture we discuss how we optimize this. Can I drink wine or black tea when planning an embryo adoption? Yes, you can. If I purchase the package of 3 egg donor transfers and I become pregnant on the first or second try, can the remaining attempts be used for future siblings? The guarantee package guarantees live birth. As soon as baby is born, the contract is fulfilled. There may be embryos left after, which are in the storage and which are your property. So as soon as the baby is born, you will be sent a separate contract to prolong their storage, and as soon as you will wish to have a sibling, you will have a contract for frozen embryo transfer. Thanks for the webinar. I wonder how many times the donor can donate eggs and how many different recipients. Our donors can donate eggs up to 6 times, but I must tell you that we have not so many donors which have exceeded this number of attempts, because people have different choices, different priorities, different human values, so they tend to choose different donors, and our egg donors in the database are not coming every quarter, so one may come once a half a year or once a year, so they don't exceed this number of 6 attempts. And if she donates 6 times, she has 6 different recipients. Or maybe she donates to the same recipient 2 times. How many families does an egg donor give eggs to? Is there a limit? The limit is set by the restrictions of these 6 donations. The rules in different countries are the same for number of siblings or from the same egg or sperm donor per certain number of population, but with sperm donors this is very easily achieved. With egg donors this limit is not achieved because the donor stops donating. And also we have international egg donation, so we have patients coming from all over the world, so it happens not so often that many times egg donor donates to the same country, but even if the donor would 6 times donate in St. Petersburg to Russian population living here, we still wouldn't have exceeded the limit. Hi, thanks for the webinar, really useful and informative. Is there anything in particular you'd like the doctor to focus on when going for ultrasound now? Anything we could inform beforehand so I can screen for. Just take your phone and screen the ultrasound machine, make video of what is visible on the screen, and you just ask just for normal gynecological ultrasound. When we have this 2 minutes video, we know exactly what the doctor knows who is screening you. And there is nothing more than normal gynecological ultrasound when we speak about baseline ultrasound for our initial consultation. If this is ultrasound examination inside your treatment plan, when you are preparing for embryo transfer or for egg retrieval, in your treatment plan we write exactly what we want. But the baseline ultrasound is just normal gynecological ultrasound, and if you film the screen of ultrasound machine, you do a very good favor to yourself and us. Can you talk about ethical aspects regarding embryo adoption, considering there may be many unknown siblings? Thank you. Again, when creating our embryo bank, we use a limited number of eggs in a limited number of eggs with fertilizing with different sperms for our bank. So we don't have like 10 embryo siblings in our embryo bank. We maybe have 2-3 embryos of different combinations, and we have several hundreds of combinations. So we try to be individual, and we try to be also restrictive on the number of sibling embryos we produce, but again, not because this may exceed the potential levels of using the egg donor and the sperm donor in certain countries, but because we give our patients a very nice diversity of choices. When they choose from ready embryos, they want to have also impact on the choice, and if they have certain egg donor, they may wish to have this egg donor with certain sperm donor, and then there may be several combinations. So we don't feel and we don't have any ethical issues related to spreading sibling donor embryos all over the world, because we don't produce them. Thank you very much. I think that was the last question which my colleagues have shared with me. I am very thankful for your attention. I will repeat what we do next. Tomorrow we send emails to all of you who have attended our webinar, reminding you who is your personal coordinator, how she looks, what is your name, and email and phone, so that you have direct contact in our clinic. For all of you who would wish individual consultation with one of our leading doctors, at the moment we have time, at the moment you have time, so take the benefit of this, submit information that you have, and let's analyze it. After we have analyzed it, maybe we come together to conclusion what we do next, and then you have our whole consulting and care system established online, so that you can continue using it and getting ready up and until you have your ready treatment plan, and the only thing you have to wait for is for opportunity to buy your flight ticket. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening, and I see you all again, or some of you who are interested, next week. Bye-bye.